We've all got the same question, right? When is the circus leaving town? I mean, we all know that they weren't invited. We all know that we didn't buy tickets for this show. And yet here it is, and it's still here. And as November 1st approaches, we're going to have a really big problem, a really big new problem happening when a lot of people don't have food tickets anymore. So I decided to kind of review everything that my guides have said about when they're leaving and how they're leaving, and just to share that with everybody. So you may have heard some of this, but you may not, and you may not remember it. And so here's what I originally was told. So we were told that, yeah, we didn't put the tickets in for this show. We put our tickets in for the soulful songstress. What's her name? Lotus Queen. Right? We bought tickets for the soulful singer, and instead we got this circus full of clowns. And of course, we got them because of shenanigans with the contest, right? Cheating. And in particular, with the help of certain wealthy billionaires, especially Starboy. So the first question we all had was, why couldn't the Blue Hats do something about this? Why couldn't certainly Lotus Queen, with all of her experience as a prosecutor and that whole chapter in her book about contest shenanigans, surely she knew what was going on. And, we didn't hear anything, right? From her, from Joe, from anybody in that leadership. And so what I was told by my guides is it could not be them. It could never have been them to be the ones to say, this is what happened. And why not? Because of the Magatonian ruffians, right? The Pew Pew owners, the ones that are very angry, and the potential for a sea war. Even though they only constituted about 1/4 of the population of the realm. That's a lot of people with a lot of pew-pews. So what my guide said was it had to be an international body like the UN, NATO, ICC, who we don't participate in, or the military. In other words, it could not be a partisan thing. So we've all been waiting for them, right? When are they going to save us? But guess what? They're not coming. Or at least they haven't come yet. So I asked my guides again, okay, now what? This was a few months later. And they said, well, we need a certain amount of people to wake up. There needs to be this critical mass of people, including Red Hat people in particular, need to wake up and kind of realize what's going on. And they said also that we had to go through some things, right? There had to be some suffering. And so as the months go on, we feel like, oh, there's been a lot of suffering, right? There's been a lot of kidnapping. There's been a lot of discrimination. There's been a lot of things happening to a lot of people. Isn't that enough? But no, apparently not, because apparently the suffering has to be more widespread. And in particular, it has to impact the Magatonians. And the guides also said that a certain number of people had to be disaffected and to defect from the Red Hat side in order for us to shift. So if we review, we do see that a lot of these things have happened. Like there's a lot of farmers, there's a lot of Red Hat people who have changed their mind. There's a lot of people who have defected from that group. There are also some people in leadership who have defected. And we can see clearly that the toy soldiers do not support the circus, right? They do not have the support of those people. Now, finally, what they told me was that it needed to be the people. Yeah, we had other options earlier on, but those options didn't happen. And so this is where we're at now, where it needs to be us. We need to be the ones who actually remove them, remove the circus, evacuate the circus. And so I was shown this huge group of people, just people dancing and singing in the streets with their signs, but not just dancing and singing in the streets with their signs, but I also saw a very large group of people surrounding Capital City and surrounding the House of White, and actually being such a large number of people, such a large group or mob, you might say, that they actually are a force to be reckoned with. And what I saw about this group is that it was kind of led by, or there was a large percentage of people there who were former Magatonians. And, that kind of makes sense, right? Because Blue Hat people are not pitchfork people, right? We don't carry around pew-pews. We don't threaten to throw violets at people. That's not really our thing. I mean, some people think maybe it should be. But, for now, or at least thus far, it hasn't really been our thing. But it is their thing, right? They're really fond of that. They like to go hunting and that kind of thing. So, when those people go to Capital City and, they act a certain way, and we know this, right, from, J6, we know what they do when they go to the Capital City and they're angry. We know what the behavior is like, right? We got gallows, we got weapons, we got, people getting hurt. And of course, I'm not advocating any of this. I'm just telling you what my guide showed me, right? This is the vision that I saw, that they were going to be with their pitchforks around the Capital City, around the House of White, demanding answers. And I don't know exactly what the issue is that precipitates this, but I'm feeling kind of hopeful about the whole food ticket situation, because the food ticket situation is going to disproportionately impact Magatonians, right? So if you look at the data, the largest increases in food ticket, applications and food ticket, what do you call it? People who have food tickets. If you look at the body of people who have the tickets, um, the largest growth has been among the red hat people. And then also there's been a lot, people being added to that list because of the import export taxes and the farmers and different things and the job losses, and right. And it's actually disproportionately impacted that particular group of people. We also have I can't say that, toy soldier people, who have also been heavily impacted. And, let's keep in mind, they're all trained to do certain things, right? So we do kind of have a bit of a situation, a potential situation happening on the 1st. I did see today a flyer in a thrift store for a call for there to be a gathering at Capital City on the 5th of November. Yeah. National organizing, November 5th, 11 a.m., Washington Monument. Something about the fall of flashyism. I don't know. Sounds promising. At the same time, we have something interesting going on in the night sky having to do with a rock hurtling through space. I'm not really allowed to talk about it on this platform, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Well, according to a certain government body of people that look through tubes into the sky at night, there's supposed to be something really significant happening around the end of this month, around the same time, right, that we're having the food ticket situation. And one more thing that my guide said about what's going to cause the circus to evacuate. They said originally, way back, like back in January or February, they said that it needed to be a member of the circus or ex-circus that comes forward and confesses to the shenanigans that happen with the joust. And I know that seems unlikely for, say, the head clown, right? He's never going to confess. But what about Starboy? He's on the outs. He's now really struggling with some of his, financials related to space. And he's pretty angry. And there are some other people trying to kind of reach out some olive branches. And he has made threats in the past about telling the truth. He's made threats to the head clown. So, that's one possibility. Because if there is a confession that comes from a ex-circus clown, no one's going to doubt that, right? They can question everyone else who says something, but they're not going to question that. Well, they're not going to question it much. Very few people are going to question it. Let's put it that way. So I do feel like a lot of things that have happened are things that they said had to happen before the circus would leave. And so we are seeing the defections. We are seeing the splintering of the red hats. We are seeing a lot of ex-Magatonians. We are seeing like rising anger. We are seeing massive dancing and singing in the streets. This last one, they underestimated it again, but people are saying it might have been like 15, 20 mil. Way past the critical mass we needed. We've definitely superseded the critical mass needed that historians say that we need for nonviolent protest to lead to the removal of a circus. So I feel like, according to my guides, we're pretty close because many of the criteria have been satisfied. And on the 1st, if nothing happens before the 1st to stop the food ticket thing from happening, we're going to have a situation which is, I think, guaranteed to bring those ex-Magatonians out into the streets. It will be the let them eat cake moment before the French Revolution that we're in. There's no greater motivator than hunger.